Good morning, Chelsey. How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I am so excited to have you on today to talk about archery and finding the right bow. I don't know if a lot of people know, but when I started Shoot Like a Girl, we did archery first for the first 5 years. That's all we did was archery because I actually started out as an archer and added firearms later in my life. However, I will say my business plan always had bringing firearms into it. But I did archery first because that was my big love. And the thing that happened to me is I got the wrong bow. So when I first started shooting, I went to the bow store and I said I needed a bow. And you know what they did? They sold me the kids' bow off the shelf that was a 25-inch draw. And I went to the archery range and I started shooting. Everybody's like, your bow's too short. Your bow's too short. Well, I didn't even have money at the time to buy a bow. And I bought it on my credit card. And I was just like, oh, you're kidding me. So finally, saved up my money and I went and I bought another bow. And you know what they sold me? A 26-inch bow. And right. And so I shot it and I shot it. And then after a while, they're like, you know what, that bow doesn't really fit you, Karen. Go to a real like archery shop and let them help you pick a bow. And for my third bow, I finally got a bow that fit. And you know what my draw length is? 27 1/4.
Uh-huh.
So it was really important. So it's funny, if you look at pictures of me, I learned to shoot incorrectly. I'm accurate at it, but I learned to shoot with a bigger bend in my arm than I need. And so it was a hard habit to break. So I'm so glad you're here to talk about how we pick the right bow. And so, Chelsey's an instructor. Chelsey, why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself? She's an instructor with Shoot Like a Girl. Chelsey, I tell every girl this, you're my favorite.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and then we'll get going.
So obviously I'm Chelsey. I am from Wisconsin and I've been with Karen since like 2013, 2014. I've been here a while. So initially I didn't start as an instructor, but I worked my way up and now here I am and I love it. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Chelsey's a great instructor and Chelsey's the girl that's been doing this for a long time. How long have you been shooting?
So firearms, I was there for a while, and then archery, I think I was about 18 when I got into it.
Right.
So 11 years now.
11 years. And what does archery give you? Like, what's that feeling you get when you draw your bow back and you hit your target?
It's awesome. I mean, initially when I started, I was super nervous and I was like target panic, kind of like, oh, am I going to hit it? What if my shot doesn't go where I want? And now it's just like, it's so natural. It's such an easy process that you're still excited every time you hit it because it's something that is all you. It's all your skill. It's not, the pull. It's kind of a pull of a trigger, but it's all you. It's
Right.
your skills.
You're in control. It's self-satisfying, right? That's what I love about it. It's just like completely self-gratifying to hit that target.
Absolutely.
So if someone is thinking about, we've got a lot of people that want to get started in archery, and you all please comment, share, and like. You may notice that Krista's not here. Krista is going to join us a little bit later, hopefully. She has another engagement, so we're moving and shaking right now, getting ready to get on the road, and so she has another engagement, but hopefully she'll join us a little later. But so that ladies don't have what I had. So what are some things, everybody always asks, like, what bow do you buy?
Yes.
So how do you answer that question?
Especially right now, like I've seen it a lot on social media. I want to get into archery. What does everybody shoot? What do you like? And my biggest thing is like, you may like this one, but it may not work for you. And bows aren't necessarily universal. They're made to fit you. You don't fit the bow, essentially. So I always say to go to your local archery store and hold as many as you can because every bow is a little bit different. Every grip is going to feel different in your hand. Balancing the bow in your hand. Can you hold it still? Is it tipping forward? Does it feel too heavy? Like all these things kind of play into it. So you like this blue bow over here and you're just in love with the color, but the grip feels awful in your hand. That if it feels awful, that's, you can't go by looks. You have to go what really feels good to you, whether you like the color or not. And that I can't stress that enough is that it might work for your friend, but it doesn't necessarily work for you.
Yeah, I agree. And if you go to the archery store, even if they don't have a bow in your poundage that you can draw, or you go to Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, even if you don't have a bow that that you can draw, like it's a 70-pound bow. I can't draw a 70-pound bow.
Oh, I can't either. No
I
way.
have no desire to draw. I wonder why men do it. Honestly, I see a lot of men struggle, and I'm thinking, why don't you just, you don't need that to hunt. So
No.
anyhow, go to that dealer, and then even if the bow's too heavy, you can do your pre-draw cycle, is what I call it. It's almost like dry firing a pistol. You get the bow, hold it up, and then just put tension on the string so that your bow arm is extended, and you can feel a lot of things from that. Is the bow balanced? Is it feel too heavy? Does it, like you said, tip forward? We had a question, and we are getting a lot of comments. Do you recommend a class prior to buying a bow?
So, I guess it depends. My first thought is, what do you want your bow for? Do you want to go hunting? Do you want to get into 3D shoots? Does your family have a bow and you just want to be in your backyard sending some arrows at a small 3D target in your yard? usarchery.org is a really great tool because you can search by state, and
Right.
it has all these different instructors on there that some hold classes, some will just put their email on there and you can ask them questions and figure out, where to start essentially. And like I said, hunting, 3D archery, that all kind of plays into what kind of a bow you're going to get.
Right. I think that's important, your discipline that you're going to use. So if you're going to go hunting, you've got to consider the draw weight. So there's a few things in bows that we have. And Chelsey, I'd like you to talk about some of those.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a draw cycle, right? There's a draw weight, and there's a draw length. And so why don't you explain first, when we're talking about bow weight, it's not necessarily the physical weight of the bow. Why don't you explain what that is?
So your bow weight is going to be how much you pull back until the string stops. And like if you know you want your bow for hunting, I definitely encourage you to hit Google and check out your state, because every state has a minimum poundage you must pull to be able to hunt. Like me in Wisconsin, it's like 30 or 35. So my goal, I have to pull that. So no matter what, I want to check out, like, can I pull this back? Can I hold it? Because it's how an ethical shot at that particular poundage. So most bows have that weight that you must be able to pull to draw. And you can start low and work your way up over time. And that's totally fine. Like me, I think I started at 35 and now I'm at about 48.
Great.
And I'm comfortable. I don't want to go higher. I can sit in my tree stand and draw it on a cold morning and I'm totally fine. And
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I started at 28 pounds, literally 28 pounds. And now I can pull 58 is the highest I've ever got to. I tried to get to 60, and I think it's mental. I can't do the 60, but I can do 52. I did that because I took my bow elk hunting, and I wanted to make sure that I had an ethical shot when I hunted elk. But I have a little kind of program that I do. And so I do this every year at the start of season. If I haven't shot a lot, I take my bow down to the lowest weight it will go. And I shoot it for like 2 weeks straight, 10 to 30 arrows a day. It doesn't have to be a lot. And then I do a half a turn. And when we talk about half a turns, that's actually just adding tension to those risers so that they give you more weight. And sorry, y'all, I apologize for all the background noise, but I will tell you, I'll show you. My mama is moving to near my house, and so I'm at her house packing her, so I apologize for the background noise. But I do that. I turn it just a half a turn, and then I shoot that for, a week or two, 10 to 30 arrows. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. And then again, until I get to that poundage that I'm trying to obtain. And so it's almost like an exercise program with your bow, and it helps you when your bow's set at a low draw weight. It really lets you focus on your shot execution. So
repetition is huge.
Yeah. So talk about that, Chelsey. You're trying to basically do the same thing every time, correct?
Right. So like you said, going out every day, shooting a little bit, even if it's, 5-10 arrows every day at a certain weight, that constant repetition is going to allow you to continue to build up your draw weight. And it's, people say, oh, go work out, go lift weights. You can do that. That's great. But the more you draw that bow back, the more you get used to it, the easier it becomes. And then it also allows you to work on your anchor point. So you always want to bring your draw to the same point every time. So when you're out shooting every single day and doing that draw cycle, it's allowing you to go to that same point every time, because when you draw and you're going to that draw point, like you're there every day, your shot's getting constant, you're in the right spot.
Right. Yeah. That's so important. And I lost my train of thought because somebody's posted, that's so sweet. Don't apologize for the reality of life. So that repetition, of course, is really important. And we said we were going to talk about draw weight. So we explained that. That's kind of the tension on the risers that adjust. And your bow will normally adjust 10 pounds one way or the other from the max peak weight. But you should check the manufacturer and make sure that that's the case. There's some bows that adjust from 10 pounds all the way to 68 pounds. So there's some very adjustable bows out there. And then we talk about bow length. So for our new archers out there, why don't you explain what we call a draw length? What is that?
So your draw length is how far the string pulls. So you really want to be accurate on the draw length, because like Karen said, if you're shooting a bow that's too short for you, I mean, technically you can be accurate at it, but it's not comfortable and it's not right. So to measure your draw length, you want your wingspan. So best thought for me is you can go to any local archery shop and they'll do it for you, but to go in with the thought of you kind of know your draw length is super helpful. So you can lean against a wall and you do your wingspan, and it's middle finger to middle fingertip. And you take that wingspan length and you divide it by 2.5. So like for me, my wingspan is 72 because I'm also 6 foot tall. And I divide it by 2.5 and it's 28.8. So technically I have like a 29-inch draw. Me personally, I draw at 28 because I'm so long and lanky that I can get a better bend in my elbow and it's more comfortable for me. But it's really, you really want to be accurate on that, because like Karen said, if you're shooting a 26-inch draw bow, but you're needing a 27 or 28, it essentially, when you're new, it can really be throwing you off and you're going to be discouraged because you're not doing what you want.
Right. When I went from my
And with your draw weight, you can go into any archery store, like I said, and they will draw you correctly and make sure that your measurement is accurate. And most bows, there's all sorts of different bows. You can get 25-inch draw, 29-inch draw. There's a bow out there that'll fit everyone. It's just the matter of figuring out where you're at and what you need to be. And your local archery shop will help you find a bow that's in that draw length as well, which eliminates a lot. Because if you're needing a 26-inch draw, they can point you in the direction of, well, this bow comes in that, this bow comes in this. And then they can tell you what draw weights those bows are as well, so that you've kind of narrowed down your selection a little bit too. I think we lost them. I'm not sure where they went. But back to the beginning, my best advice for anyone willing to get into archery or really wanting to get into archery is to go to your local archery shop, knowing your draw length and knowing what you think you can draw. and then asking what they have in those particular groups. So if your draw is a 27 and you think you can draw 40 pounds, let them know that, and they can show you what they have, and then you can be holding them. You can be, you can ask them if they're available to shoot. A lot of your archery stores have bows set up that can be drawn and can actually release an arrow. So to go to those stores, hold them, release the arrows, feel what it's like drawing them, what it's like pulling them back, is huge. You can, it really gives you a feel of what's comfortable. Like I said before, it might work for one person and it doesn't work for you, and that's totally okay because everybody is a little bit different. My, you can be shooting the exact same bow as someone else, but have a different grip, and it just feels better to you, and that is that's just fine. That's it. That totally works. I see there's a comment that your daughter shoots a bear apprentice youth bow and she's wanting to get into a lady's bow. And there's some other comments about brands recommending over for others who are beginners. I can't necessarily recommend a specific brand, only for the fact that it's really hard for me to say, well, this is what I use. This is what you should go start with. I recommend, like I said, going to that archery shop and getting a feel for what's out there, because I can say, well, bow A is phenomenal and it's great. And bow B, it's really all a personal preference kind of thing, and what feels good to you. Holding the bow, is it tipping forward, is it tipping backwards, or is it well balanced in your hand? Does it feel good in your hand? Is this bow too heavy when you're holding it in your hand? Does this bow work for a draw weight for you? What kind of works that way? As far as being a beginner or going up bows, you can be really in any price point that works for you. You can go in mine and say, you know what, I want to spend this amount. And they can kind of set you up in any price point really that you are comfortable in being. And there, a lot of archery stores out there have the option where there's trade-ins. You can buy one bow and decide, a couple years down the road, you want something different, so you can trade it in. Or some stores will even consign your bow for you, so they'll sell it for you and you can put the amount on a new bow, and that works really well too. Otherwise, you can just sell on your own. The thing of it is, whether you buy used or a consignment bow, you always want to make sure it fits you. I can't stress that enough. You want to make sure you can draw it back comfortably, because if you're drawing it back and you're struggling to draw it back and it's at its lowest weight, it's just gonna continue to be harder to draw back, unfortunately. And you wanna make it so that it's easy to continue drawing that. So whether it's new or old, it doesn't, that doesn't really matter as long as you're comfortable with it. And if you're, just thinking about getting into it, again, like I said, I can't stress enough, hold as many as you can, because then you'll find one that's comfortable for you. And being a beginner, that comfort is key, because if you're not comfortable, it's just not wonderful. And then you're nervous and things like that change. So you definitely want that comfort there. I apologize, everybody out there. I'm not exactly sure where Karen is at the moment. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but that's just kind of life. I am looking at everybody's comments on here. I do see a comment about no more than 20 arrows a practice session. And that's, you know, that's going to be to each person, I guess. If that works for you. Uh-oh. I'm not sure what's going on here. If that works for you, that's great. Otherwise, you know, if you want to do more than 20, you can certainly do more than 20. If you're comfortable doing more than 20, do more than 20. If you want to do 5, do 5. It's, you know yourself and you know what you're capable of and what you're comfortable of. And the more repetition you do, the better it gets, the more your groupings get smaller. And what I mean by grouping is the closer your arrows are together every time you take a shot. So if you take a shot and one arrow is way up on the right, maybe you're gripping the bow grip too tight. Loosen up your grip a little bit, relax, take a breath before your shot. And the more times you shoot, the more comfortable you get with your bow, the closer your arrows get together, the tighter your group gets. And that makes it a little bit easier. I did get a message that Karen is having some issues and she's trying to get back on, so no problem. Does anybody else have any questions about a bow or buying a bow or anything I can help you out with at all? You gotta love modern technology, right? And if you're, you know, I did see a question about bow accessories. So any archery shop will be more than willing to help you put your sight on your bow. They'll help you put your arrow rest on your bow. They'll get you completely set up and ready to go, and they'll cut your arrows for you. Your arrow matches your draw length, and they'll take care of all of that for you at whatever bow shop you go to. So every bow tech is wonderful. They, you know, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. My best thought is do your draw length at home. Find out your draw weight. Be comfortable knowing that going in and knowing, you know, what you want to look for when you go into that archery store, and go from there. We are going to wrap it up. Again, you can go to usarchery.org to find instructors in your state. They have emails available if you want to send them some questions. I can't promise they'll always reply, but their information is on there. It is a great tool to use if you don't know where else to go. And feel free to send us messages here on the page. I hope that everybody has a great Friday and a great weekend.
It's not the job, but it's your gram. Hi. Yeah, good for you.
Hey.
What?
Hey everyone. I sorry to chime in. I can't see Chelsey. Our technology is terrible. We're gonna wrap up this live. Chelsey, you have been absolutely wonderful. Thank